But if you meditate and get onto the clear light and leave these things to be. But now this is not your work. This is not the work of a Hamsacharya to tell children, or Alcoholics Anonymous. This is not what we are focused about, are we? We're focused about Kriya Yoga and Hamsa Yoga and teaching the spiritual knowledge and healing.
Yeah.
Now there are other groups who are working only for AIDS, other groups only for Alcoholics Anonymous.
But you run into
Aren't we
family,
going off the point?
friends, everybody, every day who have that kind of, certain kind of things that have happened, or I do anyway. And I always want to do everything I can to help, but I don't know if I'm doing the right thing.
Well, you can help by giving them the path of God. Give them Kriya Yoga. Give them the earth peace meditations. And give them courage. That's all you can give them. You cannot give them your soul. You cannot take on their karmas. You're not a Superman like Sri Yukteswar or Babaji or Ramakrishna or Jesus. That you cannot take on the sins of humanity. It needs a Superman for that. And we cannot tamper with the karmic law more than what is necessary. You cannot tamper with their DNA.
Is that an ego trip, thinking that we can do that sometimes?
It's an ego trip, yeah. It's an ego trip. This is, if you're getting really deep into it, it's definitely an ego trip. That you can think you can cure AIDS and you can think you can do anything in the world. And why not? I mean, a man has an ego. So the ego will trip. And someday it will trip so bad that it won't get up again. So yes.
But what if we have to make choices? And I take Matt's question, and that's also part of my question.
Mm-hmm.
We have to take choices every day. Now, let's say and this is totally fictional, but to stay with that example of an abused child, let's say you know a child that is being abused, okay? Do you say, it's karma that needs to be worked out, and you let it be? Or do you try to do something about it? Do you report the abusive person to the police or something?
Can I ask you a question? Firstly, I've already answered this question. I've said that does not mean that we sit still. We still go and help them.
Knock them on track.
We knock them on track. We make our best. But can I ask you another question? When the father or the brother or whichever relative was abusing that child, or whichever elderly woman was abusing the small boy, did she ask this question? Which you are making us ask? It's just a counter question. When an abused child who has been sexually molested by another elderly person, say it's their relatives or say it's some other man from outside, where the man, before abusing that girl or having sex with that girl, did he ask this question, is this good for the girl? Am I doing a karmically right thing?
No, of course.
Was it not his responsibility to ask? Was it not his responsibility to ask whether he should tamper with the girl and abuse her? Was it not? Is that not a flaw in society? Who's going to pay the burden of this karma? Who is going to pay the burden of this karma? Who is responsible for this? Who's going to be smitten by the hand of God, if at all? That is a sin. That man. And we are leaving the culprit alone, and we are getting to us, and we are feeling guilty for all the people who have been molested in their childhood. What the hell? It is those people. It is those people, it is that parent who's gone to his daughter with the Oedipus complex and has wanted to have an incest with her. It is that boy who has killed his father to have sex with his mother, which is an Oedipus complex. They are the ones who should ask. But this is how humanity is evolving through. They do have this Oedipus complex. In animals they have it, in apes they have it, and man has just evolved from the animals and they have it. And this Oedipus complex has been spoken upon not as a vice or a virtue, but a phenomena of the psyche which has to be studied and are gotten over. I don't see it I'm not blaming those people. But if you're asking us the question, I'm telling you, first ask them the question. And then when this man goes and he has this incest with his girl who's turned into this beautiful young lady, what does he ask himself? It's easily got. His hormones get the better of him. She doesn't know what the hell's going on. And he goes ahead and he relates with her. And after that, he gets this feeling of guilt and so does she. And now this guilt of feeling is thrown onto Gurunath or some mat or someone here, and we feel we are guilty for having had this sex with this girl. We have had it, not that man. Why should we have this feeling? This is karma, let me tell you. This class is strictly spiritual. We are going upon the path. This is a bifurcation. So the karmic law, number one, will take care of this. That man will be punished. Not because he's done a vice or a virtue. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. The law of karma is cold and exact. If there is a machine, saw cutting machine, and it's your favorite machine and you have made it yourself, you are the father and that's your child, you put your little finger there and see what happens. Finger is gone. No emotions felt. So that guy will have to pay for it. This thing which is happening in society, which is not a vice or a virtue, which is just a process of evolution. People are evolving from this state. You can call it a Timbuktu, or you can call it a ha-ha or hoo-hoo or guilt or fear. I don't know what you can call it, that's up to you. But for me, this is an evolutionary process. And it's a sorry thing that they are passing through this state. In the Bible there's an example that the man was old and there was no seed on the earth. The seed had to be multiplied. So the daughters got the old man drunk and they had incest with him and they conceived from him, and then generations carried on. Have you read this in the Bible in the Old Testament?
Yeah. Yes.
Right? So it is there. It happens. So be steady. Let's take a cool mind about this. We're all matured people. I really do not know what they mean by vice and virtue. I think this is a very, very relative term, concerned firstly personally with each individual. Okay?
But from what you're saying, there's still right and wrong. Because you talk about justice and you talk
right
about
and wrong
punishment.
are just words. They're relative. I could just call it bong and tong. It's just, I mean, I could say this is bong and this is tong. These are words. I mean, who is to decide, Stefan, when one country is fighting the other? Who is to decide in the elections for the American presidency whether Bush is right or Gore is right? Well, all the Democrats will say that Gore is right. All the Republicans will say that Bush is right. I tell you, both are right and none are right, because this is a relative term. It is their business and their party's business. So both sides will have an equally strong argument. So the yogi does not mess up his mind or waste time in these arguments of the Democrats or Republicans or the Oedipus complex and this and that. He just sets his simple asana straight, goes into no mind and moves. The truth. The truth is that which is through experience. The truth, even that is a relative truth, but comparatively in the world, if he says he'll breathe through you, he must. If he says he'll give you no mind, he must. Person who walks his talk is closest to the truth. No matter how much of a hanky-panky talk you have, or whatever you say, that is all intellectual gymnastics. And it's the juxtaposing of the mind, jugglery of the mind. So if we lay our jugglery of the mind and our intellect, of course, each one is more intellectual than the other, so who are we to listen to? And if everything is based on the standard of light, it's not even a fraction of a second in the travelers, the scenario of the whole universe. It will take billions and billions of light years for light itself with 300,000 kps to cover the whole universe. It may never do it. It may change. And what is it called when it goes faster than 300 kilometers? It turns back, reverses and goes before. Is it called dark light or something? Or lightless light or something? So these are all relative terms. I mean, for me personally, I speak for myself, I do not waste my time in this vice and virtue phenomenon. I give them strength and courage. I'll say, forget the past, get onto the track, get to the goal. So first practice the sadhana, that's important. Those people will not come to you. The good Lord will send them to the appropriate people. They'll send you the proper people. Your spiritual magnetism will attract the proper people to you. Your spiritual magnetism will attract it. They will not come. They come because you attract such people. You will attract the people you deserve.
So